while they understand really well how this stuff works, I have no idea how it works. I understand more of the why it works. And I titled this kind of doing the undoable, because I'm amazed every day when I wake up and have the opportunity to work here, and I think about the undoable things we have. And I want you for a minute just to transport yourself back for a minute. Go back 10 years ago in the industry that you're in, and think about something that then was undoable, that today is commonplace. What would those things be?
Ordering groceries through the internet.
Yes, doing things digitally through the internet, for instance. Anything else come to mind? Who could have thought of starting a loan on a phone 10 years? I mean, that would have been undoable. First of all, having the phone would have been undoable. Undoable things. What are some of the things that you might say today is kind of commonplace, whereas it wasn't doable? Anything?
Social media.
What maps? Understanding where people are and how do I get to a store or how do I get to a place? Those are all, I mean, used to you had to actually have people who would give directions to people, and now it's like, no, just everybody finds their way. That's the first test. If you can't find your way to my store, I don't know that you're my customer. So you have to be smart enough to get to the store. Okay, well, good. All right, so with that in mind, one of the undoable things is, we're talking primarily about marketing, but I know that I was asked if I could introduce across what Watson customer engagement, or what we do both in marketing, commerce, supply chain, if I could kind of explain that quickly. So to do that is, I'm going to say it's undoable, but it's a challenge, and I'm going to do it in just 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. In fact, no, let's make it a challenge, 3 minutes. I'll do this in 3 minutes. Okay, somebody got a clock?
Yep.
Check on me, 3 minutes. Right, so this is Watson customer engagement, the broadest part of what we do. Don't start the clock yet. I haven't started. Okay, we'll start now. Well, first of all, you, like everyone else, we have these things out there that we call customers, right? And I heard a lot this morning around, what are the concerns around the customers? Well, we think there's 3 basic questions that you're going to ask about customers that are going to drive 3 actions for you. And the first question that we actually have is just about, who is our customer? Who are they? And by the way, whiteboards don't have spell check, so I was in it. I'm going to keep going because I'm 3 minutes. Okay. I'll talk about it later. Who are they? The way we know who people are is because of a couple things. First of all, what are they looking at? What are they watching? What are they paying attention to? What are the things that they think are important, that they find interesting? And then last, and I love this aspect I heard earlier this morning, where do they spend their time, right? Because what you want to do is you want to know who they are, because the thing you want to do is you want to respectfully reach them. Okay? That really connected with me when you said this morning about not interfering with them. I think that we as customers feel like often we're interfered with. How do you develop a relationship and know a customer well enough that you can respectfully reach them at the right time, at the right moment? If you do that, then you have this opportunity down here. This opportunity down here is to help them make a decision. And this is around, what is it they want? If you can understand what they want, you have an opportunity actually to help them make a buying decision. And those buying decisions have to be good for them, and it has to be good for you too. You can't offer something you can't deliver. And that buying decision and that journey that they take will take them from, they start off on a cell phone and then they move maybe to a laptop or a PC, and maybe they even come into one of your stores or one of your branches or whatever to finish their business. That entire journey across this entire thing has to be a happy, cohesive experience. Because people don't like to be sold to. Nobody likes to be sold to, but we love to buy. So your job is to give them the opportunity to buy. So that's your goal, is to know what they want so that you get the opportunity to buy. If you do that, then you have this opportunity over here, which is what they expect by now. So what do they expect? They expect you to deliver on the promise that you gave, right? They expect for you to deliver whatever it is you said you're going to deliver to them. And the challenge here is that most of this has to do with things like you have suppliers and partners and people who depend on one another, and in cases of stores and so forth, you've got all these different people, and any one of these nodes having a problem is an issue for you. It's going to make this person unhappy. It's going to be an unpleasant experience. And this can be, from, usually just be taking a truck across town or whatever. In fact, most customers just think of that last 50 feet or that last delivery point. But really, with you, it's all around. It's around this whole global experience. How do I tie people around the world to make this thing happen? Because what I want to do here. Thank you. It's a challenge, right? So you want to meet or exceed expectations. Don't you wish I just stopped talking? That would be really good, right?
Go ahead.
So how do you meet or exceed expectations? If you do that well, you get to know your customer better. And then the cycle continues. That's what we do. Marketing, commerce, supply chain. I challenge myself for 3 minutes. I usually do 5. Thank you for keeping me
And
on.
it's always nice to hear a story and to tell.
Okay. Did that make sense to you?
With pictures and everything. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I love about this too is that this is no longer the idea that, oh, this is me, I'm marketing. This is what I'm concerned with. No. I'm marketing and I have to be concerned with this and with this as well. There's all parts of this that I have to be concerned with. So what I'd like to do, in fact, you can take a picture of this, but I'll take a picture of it later if you'd like, make sure you don't get it.
Very nice, and I want a picture.
My parole officer doesn't allow my picture to be taken, so you have to black it out. Okay. But if we were to look at, in fact, let's do this. I'm going to take you through a journey of some things, and I'm a storyteller, but I'm going to take you through a journey around doing the undoable, especially around what you guys do with marketing. And I'm going to use 3 areas. Let's do thermodynamics. I'm going to use, let's use psychology and physics. Veronica, don't let me lose you, okay? We're not getting technical here. This is just, these are areas that we're going to play around with, okay? The first area is thermodynamics. You guys have probably seen something that looks like this, right? It's the happiness quotient, are my customers unhappy, are they neutral, or are they happy?
NPS.
What's that?
NPS.
NPS. Okay, so NPS. What does that look like to you? A customer that's unhappy, what does that look like in your situation? Share with me. What would happen that would cause a customer of yours to be unhappy?
Frustration.
What's that?
Frustration.
Frustration. Why are they frustrated though?
Probably we didn't deliver what they expect.
Yeah, you didn't deliver on the promise you gave.
On time.
What's that?
Deliver on time.
On time. Yeah, I do that all the time. Amazon says it better be here today, it better be here today. If it's here tomorrow, even though I can use it tomorrow, I'm angry.
He starts telling everyone what failed.
When they do that, yeah, they get vocal, right? But what else causes this unhappy customer? So not delivering is a big one, right? Anything else that comes to mind that might cause a customer to be unhappy?
Not complete orders or.
Right.
Yeah, something gets stuck.
They
They can't do something. Yeah.
Response time.
Yeah. I'll tell you what frustrates me is when a sale is on at some place, a supermarket, certain things I buy all the time. Walk in and they're out. And you go, brought me here for this thing and it's not here. So it's almost like that promise and delivery thing. So thermodynamics. And what is a happy customer? What is a thrilling customer? A customer that just loves you. What does that look like?
Shoes
For you, is it
arriving
someone-
on time.
I'm sorry?
Shoes arriving on time.
Shoes arriving on time. Yeah. For you, what is it?
It's a customer that has a credit on time and they're
Paying on time.
yes, their executive is nice to them and can relate them well
Yeah.
and they feel very comfortable with
They
it.
feel empowered and success with what they've been given, right? They're good.
Not so successful.
Not so successful, but they're still a happy customer, right? How about yourself? Happy customer. What is that?
So the one that integrates with all of our products in their life.
That's-
Not only just for breakfast, for
Yeah,
across the day.
they become dependent. It's that cultural thing that they start to have. They have this cultural relationship with you. Yeah. Yeah.
comments, recommendations,
Yeah.
ambassador of the brand.
Oh, good, brand ambassador, that's a good one. Yeah, they believe in you so strongly, they're willing to share about that. It's not just about the bad stuff, because they're easily share about that, but when you get them to the point where they're actually saying good things, yeah.
Some promoter.
Promoter, that's good. Right. How about yourself? What's a happy customer look like?
When it comes to grocery, everything is dedicated for branding.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to do something really, really special to satisfy them or to make them feel happy. So when we try to surprise them and we give them away a cup of coffee or a piece of bread, it's something that really excites them and it makes them feel special, that we recognize them, and from my point of view, that's like the most powerful thing that you can do to your customer.
Helping a customer feel important, that you care, right? That you care about that. How about yourself?
My customers, they are businesses.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah. But can you tell a bit happy one from a sad one?
Oh, yeah.
That's not a problem, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, yes.
Yes, yeah.
They are getting stronger when they're not happy. And they don't say much when they are happy.
It's in your case, it's one of those things when nothing's being said, things are going pretty well.
Exactly. But some of them do say that they are very happy.
Yeah, good.
They become
One-
promoters.
Yeah. One thing I want us to look at this, because this, by the way, what does it take to take this person here?
It's very easy.
It's simple. It's like a moment's notice, right? That can happen. You can have a customer that's just, extremely happy. They're on board. They're a promoter of yours, and then you disappoint them, and then they're like all of a sudden here. So the point I'm trying to make is that this scale of happiness or NPS or whatever, these are states that customers are in, and your job is not to have every customer here. I'm going to tell you, that's not your job. Your job is to have your right customers here. Because what this requires, it requires energy to get them here. And this is the law of thermodynamics. So you remember in school, entropy. Entropy is a law that says over time, things degrade, things get worse. Leave it left alone, over time, things will get worse. I can think of, and you talk about surprises, and I love that comment, we like to surprise people. There are things that today were undoable 10 years ago, but when they were introduced, I'm like, this is amazing. And now it's like, oh, well, it's commonplace. I don't think of it as, I don't think it's that big a deal anymore, But yet at the time, it was amazing. It's like you have to continue to have energy going this way. And it's unrealistic for you to think that you have budget and all the authority to take everybody in your possible, customer scope and keep them here. I'll tell you who's brilliant at doing this, about letting them drop. Apple. They're constantly saying, this is the best product ever. It's wonderful, it's great. You getting unhappy? Because we got a better one coming out, and all of a sudden it's like renewing wedding vows. It's like surprising them, right? And actually, this is one of those things where it's hard to keep customers here, but if you understand who your customers are and how this flows, it's a powerful thing. So understanding this piece of this is about this energy that has to be done with entropy to try to keep this on the happy scale. And like I said, it's unrealistic for you to think you're going to keep them happy all the time. Psychology. So what is it that causes people to be happy or to be good customers? I'm not sure how many of you might be familiar with the work by Simon Sinek, but he has a book called Start With Why. And if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend either just looking at the video of it. But I'll give you this in condensed form. The outside circle is called what he calls a golden circle. Is what is it you do? The next one is how do you do it? And the middle one is why you do it. All right? And we often face our customers and we go to people trying to get them to understand what it is we offer. And many times we go from the outside in. What is it we do? In fact, I'll just go ahead and use IBM as an example. Okay? What is it we do? We build solutions around marketing that help people be better marketers. How do we do that? We use scalable, enterprise-worthy, secure systems. Why do we do that? So that you have the opportunity to use them and buy them. That's different than if you start here. We believe, these are belief statements. We believe that customers deserve the best treatment in the world, and that we as companies owe that to them. That's what we believe. We believe that, and if you do this, if you understand who your customers are, respectfully reach them and give them the opportunity to buy, they will be brilliant customers for you. That's what we believe. How do we do that? We do that by building products that will stand the test of time, that grow over time, that learn, that are scalable, that are cloud-based, or whatever. What is it we do? We happen to sell marketing solutions. We happen to sell customer insight solutions. We happen to sell. That's what we do. People don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. Now, the reason this is important, I think, to you in marketing, why we think of this as a topic, is because if we look at analytics in the past, and we use AI terms all the time. We talk about AI. AI does this. AI does. And I love someone who said, you know, it's like, is it just Watson? It's like this Watson is this thing. I'll share the story. There was a kid. He was in a church Sunday school, it's a young kids Sunday school, and the teacher asked him. She said, "So tell me, what's brown and has a furry tail and eats nuts and lives in a tree?" And he said, "You know, it sounds like a squirrel, but I'm sure the answer is Jesus." Because he's in church, right? So the answer is Jesus. And Mike got a, because around here, you know, if it's something, it's like, well, Watson does it. Well, Watson AI does it. It's like, no, you know, he's not the answer to every question. But what it does do is it makes us think about what is it that Watson's going to bring to the table, or bring to you, especially. What are you going to be able to do because of Watson? Not what Watson's going to do. What are you going to be able to do because of it? And I think one of the things that I feel empowered with from a marketing standpoint is that analytics, in fact, a lot of people still are attacking analytics from the idea of, we're going to take data and understand all this data, and we're going to help you get better answers. Okay, we'll help you get better answers. And if we actually look at this, we're tracking things like, what did they buy? When did they buy it? Did they buy it in association with something else? What time of day did they, I mean, it's all transactional based. It's all points to these moments, right? And so we take all of that and we try to understand, what we're understanding is what they did, and maybe even how they did it. They did it on a phone, they did it on a laptop, whatever. How do you find out why? Why are they making this purchase? Why? That's the part, I think, when you talk about being respectful. If you can understand why people do what they do, you have a better chance of understanding them as a customer. I have elderly parents. I've been looking at them for things like retirement homes and health insurance, and I can't tell you how many times I get called on a daily basis about health insurance for aged people, or for hearing aids, or for things like that, because I, on behalf of them, made those inquiries. If those companies knew me, they knew why I did this, and could understand that I'm hopefully not at the age that I'm losing my hearing yet. But the idea is, if they could understand why. This is where I believe that we have a different approach to AI, because I think a lot of AI systems are out there helping you get better handle on the what and the how. And I think we're at a point where we can help you understand why. Because it's not about entropy. This is about emotions. This is about what is going through my head when I make these decisions. And we can tell that often because, not just because of the action they took place, but because of the social network they're in, because of the constituency they deal with, because of the things around them, comments they made, things they said, maybe even just a survey they took. What are the emotions around this, and how can you better drive knowing the psychology? I misspelled that. Psychologists recognize it, of who your customer is. Because if you can understand this, if you can understand the emotions, you have a better chance of understanding who your customers are, and that's critical. I've worked in marketing before, and I've worked with a lot of data. And I want you to think about this for a minute. If you know your data, if you understand your data set, you don't know all the data that's in there, but you know what your data is on. Think about the questions you ask. Think about the queries that you ask your system. You ask the system to give you information on stuff that you already kind of know. It's like, I know that I'm going to have this kind of thing, and so I basically ask a question in a way that I know that can be served back up to me. And that, I believe, is a fundamental problem. And I'll try to use black. That's a fundamental problem, because here's this point.
I want to know what I don't know.
Yeah, in fact, what I don't know is scary. Could be scary. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm a fan of Mark Twain, who's a storyteller from the South of the U.S., and he said, it's not what you don't know that's going to kill you, it's what you know for sure that ain't so. It's the things you think you know that you really don't know. That's what's going to kill you. And that actually, I think, relates to this. We take actions, and our actions are based off of decisions. So we make decisions which drive actions. But where do we get the decisions from? Well, we get answers. All right? So we go off and do our queries and whatever, and we get good answers. And we take those answers and we make decisions, and then we go do action. And then the question is, so we start looking at our actions. Was the action successful? Did we do well with that campaign? Did we do whatever? And we go, oh, well, let's go ask, let's we go through the answer piece again. Most analytics, I think, are here, where they're helping you get better answers. We don't think that's good. We don't think it's good enough. We want you to have better questions. What question are you asking? What question could you ask? I mean, imagine, what would it be like if you were to say, what is my relationship to people opening new loans based on the weather? Does that have something to do with it? You know, does the weather, is that a question I can ask? It's like, that's an undoable
Yes,
question.
maybe.
Pardon?
Maybe. Yes.
Maybe. You don't know.
Yes.
You don't know, but we believe that if you are able to ask those kind of questions, you'll come up with more interesting answers.
But we have some data on that.
Do you? Yeah.
Yes, from Martin, he's our data guy.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's a correlation, especially in the north, when we don't have water. It's very, very dry. Yes,
Really?
It's
Okay.
super hot. We receive a lot of more demand for credit.
Buy beer.
Buy beer, yes, that's a
You know when people buy beer
Yeah,
most?
priorities.
Is prior to a storm. We've found that like before a hurricane hits, people buy beer. More than any other thing, they buy beer.
Really?
It's like that shows the
Really?
importance of the way of life, right? Yeah. So those kind of questions may not be available in the data that you currently have. They may not be things that you're prepared to ask. But what if you had a system that you could say, this data is relevant, understand it together, and then help me, and I'm going to start asking questions, and maybe help me formulate better questions. And instead of me thinking of because, I mean, honestly, if you think about what the answer is going to be, and then you formulate your question, you're short-sighted. I think you're cutting yourself off. I think you need that curiosity, that thing of what if. And one of the things I love about when I watch the Watson systems work and so forth, the places where Watson's embedded, is it gives you that kind of insight into something. You know, this has happened before, and you might want to look here. It's like, oh, I would have never thought of looking there, but it's telling me I should maybe look there. So that idea of curiosity. So this is the psychology of the thing, the emotional things, the things that help, as Felicity said earlier, your marketing professionals in your organization, they didn't go to school to be data analysts, I don't think. They went to school to be creative people that were doing imaginative things. And yet often they're sitting around doing, writing spreadsheets and doing data and queries and trying to figure out, results. Because they're trying to prove, this, what's the value of this action? And they're not really being the creative individuals they need to be. So that's where I feel I'm a big component of creative overload. And I think we need to help our creatives. So let's go one last thing before I run out of time. So physics. So why is physics important? Archimedes, this is going to be a history lesson. Archimedes said that, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand and I can move the earth. And I remember being I'm probably elementary school or whatever when I first heard that, and I thought to myself, that's pretty insane. Think about it, moving the earth. What would that be like if I could actually do that? And what would that look like? Well, let's play that out for a minute. We have at our disposal right now, and Felicity mentioned this, we have this, this gigantic world of data, this earth of data, and it's only getting weightier and heavier, and I'm almost get bored by the numbers, but it's just unsurmountable. And what we want to do is we want to drive this data towards something. Somebody mentioned earlier some insights. I want to get some insights. I want to get something up here that's going to give me an idea that I didn't have before. Help me have some insights about my data. Help me understand that. But this is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So it's like the globe. How do I do this? Well, for us, we think there's a nice lever, a nice fulcrum, and that lever, by the way, happens to be we'll call it cloud. Because what it does is allows me to apply this anywhere. It allows me to apply this in places where I could not normally apply it. And even if I wanted to use a fulcrum here, and this is maybe reaching it a bit, quantum quantum computing, that's one of the things IBM does. In fact, we got rid of most of our hardware stuff, but we kept that because we know to run that amount of data and to do that kind of stuff, you need special machines, and we're not going to let anybody else. We have to build what we need, and so we're building that. But what's the force? Okay, so what's the force? And I'm sorry, I can't do Watson very well, but it's AI. How do I take the force of AI and apply that across the cloud and actually take that data and drive it towards some insights? That's what we do. And the way we actually apply that happens to come about as part of our, within the applications that we have, within the solutions that your people deal with on a daily basis. So where this was about entropy and emotions, this is just about energy. Because you are sitting on, right now, a gold mine of data, hopefully. You mentioned data that you had about weather and dry weather. So you have data that you may not even be leveraging yet.
And we don't use it.
Yeah, it's just I got stuff, and I have no idea how I'm going to use that. That's where I think magic happens. I hate to say that it's simple, but I think that's where the sauce comes in, the secret sauce, so to speak, that's actually going to make this. Your jobs as CMOs become clearer and become more effective when you sit at a board, because you're going to be bringing insights, not about here's what we did, here's how it worked, here's whatever. It's like, yeah, but I've got that. That's table stakes. I do that. But here's what I'm bringing to the table now. What if? What if we did this? Because our data and some of the questions we've asked told us that if we were to market to people strategically at dry times of the year, and we can figure out when those are, then we'd be better off. We'd have a more acceptable audience. Or if we knew certain things happened in the supermarket space, we could do this and we could capture more space. So it's not about being defensive as a CMO, but actually stepping forward and going, we're going to be innovators in this group. Because we're asking questions no one else is asking, and we've got data that no one else has. Okay? So I think that's what we do. Any questions? If you ask any hard questions, it goes to that table. Be on the ready, Mike, Mary. Any questions? Did that make sense? Did that help at all? Okay. You're my litmus test because of what you said earlier about just not having. My mind is blown every day. Every day, my mind is blown by things that I see happening, and I go, "How did that work?" In fact, my grandkids, I work from home when I'm not traveling, and my grandkids, when they ask, "What does Papa do?" all they know is Papa makes magic. Because Arthur Clarke said any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So I feel like I'm in the magic business.
No, I love what you say because, when I listen to you talking, I go, wow.
No.
But the reality is that when you go to your office every day, you have huge amounts of data, and I would dream of having not big data, but small data to make my everyday decisions, and to make the decisions that are so critical for our businesses, like how much money should we spend on this kind of activities? How do we measure them? Which is the most relevant KPI for our customers? Which give me engagement? Which one is a lead? These kind of decisions are the ones that we really need to master as CMOs. So I see that and I say, wow.
All right. Well, I don't know that I gave you any insights in particular. This is kind of the story this morning was more about why I believe it's worthwhile the time that you're investing here. By the way, which I very much appreciate and recognize that. Why I think it's important, because we're at the point now where we're doing some things that are just, to me, mind-blowing. I'm talking to customers about things like supply chain stuff, where when things get messed up or whatever in the process of delivery, you get an unhappy customer, and that thing gets resolved within the organization through our systems that we have, and in the resolution of that, you bring certain experts together to resolve it, and that knowledge is kept in the system. So the next time that happens, people go, this looks like it's happening again. By the way, it happened before. This is the people you need to actually involve, and this is how it gets fixed. And you go, that means I don't have to make the same mistake twice. I mean, imagine what it would be like if you never made the same mistake twice. That's insane, wouldn't it be insane? I mean, but we're getting that way. We're getting toward that. Because every time it's the same problem over again. It's like, how did we fix that last time? What did I learn from that? That's why I was talking about the fact of this thing learning you. Because there's a certain amount of stuff that we bake in, because we know marketing, aspects of marketing, so let's go ahead and put that in the system as part of this, so that you don't have to worry about training at that part. But where's that extra part? There's that other part about how I behave, or how I do things. Because I'm gonna ask questions differently than Maria will, because Maria's a marketing professional, Felicity's a marketing professional, I'm not, I'm a marketing dabbler. So the type of questions I'll ask may seem silly, but they might be interesting questions, right? So ask those questions today, because you won't be asking me, you'll be asking them. So ask all the questions you want to this team, all right? And by the way, too, let me just say that my role is, I'm in a worldwide role, so I cover your area. You guys know that I assist wherever. If you ever have a need to have maybe a challenge for your C-level executives, if you want to have a briefing or something, or you could use me for some reason, I'm at your disposal, okay? So please feel free to reach out if there's something you have to do or whatever. And I'll write out a better drawing of this and actually put it, where people are putting the presentations, I'll put that, but in a more legible fashion, okay? Thank you. Thanks. So I think at this point, we have another break plan? Okay, let's do another break.